You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Tuesday, 20th day of December, 2022. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We actually do 2 live broadcasts every trading day, although we're going to be closed Friday, even though the markets are open. We've never had 4 consecutive days in a row off. One of our members reminded me of that this morning in the live training room. And that's a true story. So, looking forward to it. Hope you've got some time off too. Anyway, the first live broadcast of the day from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Eastern, that's reserved for members only and those who are taking our 1-week free trial. If you've never taken our 1-week free trial, when Michael comes on in a few minutes, he'll show you exactly how to do it. And remember, there's no credit card required. We give you access to every tool, every resource, every class that our lifetime members have access to for 5 consecutive trading days before you spend a dime. In other words, we're willing to invest our time and resources in you so that you can find out if you have what it takes to become a trader. At the end of the 5 trading days in your trial, and it's 5 consecutive days, so it doesn't matter what day of the week you start on a weekend, you'll get 5 trading days. So like if you started this week, the fact that we're closed Friday, it'll carry over into next week. Okay? Now, again, no credit card required. We're investing in you so that you can make a well-informed, intelligent decision as to whether or not you should invest in yourself. I know a lot of you have spent a lot of time and a lot of treasure trying to learn this complicated business of trading. But what you're going to learn during your 5-day trial is really not as complicated as they try to make it out to be. You see, the more complicated it's portrayed, the more stuff they can sell you. The only thing we've got is what you see on the screen, the passport. That's lifetime access to everything we do, everything we've ever done, because we're big on archiving, and anything new that we should do in the future. Once you become a lifetime member, a passport holder, you'll never spend another dime with us. Now, that's the first live broadcast. The second live broadcast every trading day, the one we're in right now, starts at 12 noon Eastern. And there's 2 different ways to join the afternoon broadcast, which is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. A phone, a tablet, a PC, a Mac. We're not picky. Now there's 2 ways to join, and I'm going to give you the best way first, because this way gives you access to the question box, so that during the broadcast, you can actually ask questions and participate in the discussion. And you only have to do this once. Go to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down to where it says afternoon broadcast. Fill out that 30-second registration form. And then every trading day going forward, whether you become a member or not, every trading day going forward, you'll get an email before the afternoon broadcast starts. And all you have to do is click the link in the email, and it automatically logs you into our platform where you have access to that question box. The other way to join the afternoon broadcast is to simply point your browser to our YouTube channel. And it's super easy to remember. YouTube.com, you've already got that part down, /CFRN. YouTube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, but we also archive every daily live broadcast. Currently, there's over 2,100 daily live broadcasts archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. In fact, I should check. We're probably approaching 2,200. So, anyway, whichever way you choose to join, we're just glad to have you with us. So we're going to open with a word of prayer as we do each and every day. Now, our topic this week is meaningful life lessons from the book of Ecclesiastes. Our scripture for today is Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verses 9 through 11. And I will be reading from the Message translation, so it may not sound exactly like what you read in the King James Version, which, interestingly enough, one of my favorite podcasts talked today about how the King James Version came to be, the one that you and I grew up with before we even knew there was any other kind of a translation. It's a very interesting story, and I know many of you already know the background and the history, but the name of that podcast, by the way, is the Omnibus Project. The host, or Ken Jennings, the first guy to ever win $1 million on Jeopardy, and John Roderick, who was the front man for a popular band called The Long Winters. They drop 2 episodes a week, and I look forward to it every Tuesday and every Thursday. Okay, our scripture for the day. Oh, how I prospered. I left all my predecessors in Jerusalem far behind. Left them behind in the dust. What's more, I kept a clear head through it all. Everything I wanted, I took. I never said no to myself. I gave in to every impulse, held back nothing. I sucked the marrow of pleasure out of every task, a reward to myself for a hard day's work. Now that's verses 9 and 10. And then we get to verse 11. I hate life. Verse 11. Then I took a good look at everything I'd done. Looked at all the sweat and hard work. But when I looked, I saw nothing but smoke. Smoke and spitting into the wind. There was nothing to any of it. Nothing. Now, speaking of spitting into the wind, you've probably heard that you never tug on Superman's cape and you don't spit into the wind. Yeah. Lyrics from an old song. Some in the audience may not be old enough to remember that tune. So, today, life principle number 2. Everything apart from God is meaningless. King Solomon accumulated silver, gold, and the treasure of kings and provinces. He undertook many great projects. He built houses and splendid gardens. Yet he realized that everything he had strived to achieve by himself was meaningless. He concluded that everything, if not rightly related to God, is pointless. Even work, pleasures, and wisdom. We can find true and lasting meaning in life through God, who meets the needs, wants, and desires of our hearts. Whatever we do apart from God and His will for us will ultimately leave us with a never-ending thirst that worldly things can't quench. We can avoid this spiritual drought as we accept Christ as the living water, walk with God, and rest in the assurance that we are His forever. Are you trying to find meaning in pleasure, work, money, or personal accomplishments? Of course, these things are fundamental. And God doesn't want to deny us anything good. But when we focus on the temporal things of life more than the eternal, then worldly things become more important. Then the satisfaction we feel is only temporary and won't complete us as God does. Draw closer to God by talking to Him often in prayer. A lot of people say, gosh, I don't know how to pray. When I hear the guys stand up in church or on TV, they got these flowing words and long prayers, kind of like the long flowing robes and tassels of the Pharisees. You don't have to be in a special place, a special position or posture. You don't have to light any incense or any candles. A personal Savior is someone that you can just talk to. And you should talk to Him continually throughout your day. Talk to Him the same way you would talk to your best friend, because He is your best friend, if He's Lord of your life. Express your thoughts, your worries, your anxieties, but also your thankfulness and praise. He will always listen, and He will never leave you. You can trust Him with every detail of your life. Question: do you need to increase your personal time with God? Then set aside a time that works best for you to talk to your Heavenly Father in prayer, read your Bible, or even watch an online sermon. With God in your life, nothing is meaningless. And as you practice the things I just spoke of, you'll find that eventually you become like Paul, always in prayer. Prayer without ceasing, as he called it. Join me in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, it seems that more and more people are becoming increasingly anxious about what is going on in the world today and what is likely to happen, both within our own country and around the world. There's so many conspiracy theories on one hand and a lot of hype on the other, which seem deliberately designed to cause people to become anxious and afraid. I know that you are not a God of disorder or fear. You are a God of peace and love. I also know that the Bible tells us that as we get closer to the return of Jesus for His church, men's hearts will start to fail for fear of what is coming on the earth. Lord, I am your child, and I know that my strength and comfort is in you. I know that you will never leave me nor forsake me, no matter what happens in this world. Keep me, I pray, from anxious thoughts, and prevent my heart from fearing what is coming on the world, knowing that my citizenship is in heaven with you, and knowing that the day is fast approaching when you will come to take us to be with you in our heavenly home, where we will be with you forever. Thank you for this assurance that I have in Christ Jesus, my Savior. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said amen. All right, let me give you the numbers from around the world. I'm going to start with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called here in the U.S. When I'm done, Michael will come on and give us a recap of everything that happened this morning in the live training room. And if at any point during the broadcast my audio drops, let me know in the question box so I can log out and log back in, like I've had to do a number of times lately, as we get whatever the ghost in the machine is exercised. Currently the Dow up 86 points, NASDAQ up 16, S&P 500 up 6, and the Russell 2000, or man in the street, up 11. Could this be the beginning of the Santa rally? We'll talk more about that as we go to the charts later in the broadcast. In the commodity basket, crude oil down 17 cents, trading 75.02 last. Gold up $30.70, trading 18.2840 last. That's a gain of 1 3/4%. And silver, hi ho silver. Silver's up $1.04, trading 24.24 last. That's a gain of 4.5%. I gotta remind you that when the price of silver moves $1, as it's done today, that is worth $5,000 per contract traded. Go silver. In the Asian markets at the close, Nikkei down 669 points, or 2.5%. Shanghai fell 33 points, a little over 1%. The Hang Seng dropped 258 points, almost 1.5%. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE up 9, DAX down 58, CAC down 22. So that gave us a red day in Asia, a mixed day in the UK. But so far, now it's been back and forth during the session, and you'll see it when we go to the charts later in the broadcast. The bigger picture. Michael's going to come and give us a recap of everything that happened in the live training room. And when he's finished, then I'll be back and we'll look at the daily chart. We'll look at the 30-minute charts. We'll look at all the logic alerts, the concierge trade alerts. And at any point during the broadcast, whether I'm on or Michael's on, if you have a question, just type it in the question box. We're always happy to answer it for you. Michael, I can see your chart, so
All right.
take it away.
All right, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, the 20th day of December, 2022. Now, if you've not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com, and right here is the sign up for your free 5-day training now, 9:30 to 11:30. All right. Click that, and you will be brought to this page right here. All right, where all we ask for is a little bit of information, and when you give it to us, maybe send everything you need to get into that room in the morning. Now, if you're going to take the trial, you would be shorting yourself if you did not download the trading platform. So download the trading platform. It's right here at mytradingiq.com, right in here. You can download either of these platforms. If you don't have one, DT Pro is the one that I use. If you have one of the other ones, that's fine. Just give us the information we need. And follow the instructions to do the installation. You should take a look at the trade rules. They are right here for you to look at and be ready for the room in the morning. You can watch some of these videos. They will also prepare you for the room in the morning. All right. It's worth your time to watch the videos. All right. Be ready for the room in the morning. Otherwise, be overwhelmed. All right. The spreadsheet. We did not have a banner day today, but we had an okay day. It was, well, we missed trades and it was kind of slow. Anyway, today is, as I said, the 20th day of December 2022. And if you're going to read this, you have to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today, we lost 7 ticks in crude. We made 1 tick in gold, and we made 21 ticks on the ES. So on the month, it looks like the ES is the one that's carrying us here on the month. And that's okay. Most people trade the ES, and that's good that it's being the one that's carrying us. Anyway. Today it took 16 minutes and 7 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $112.50. We took a total of 19 trades. And that puts us at $10,355 a contract. That's over 14 trading days, averaging $739 per contract per 2-hour business day. We've now gotten our goal in 240 out of 240 days. And we've gone 301 consecutive business days since our last down day in the room. And that puts us on the year at $235,701. Over 240 days, averaging $982 per contract per 2-hour business day. Now we kept that up to 1,000 until the end of November, and then, well, we just haven't had the opportunity so far in the month of December. I was hoping we would, but just not happening. Anyway, if you were to quit trading, and this is where you really want to be, you want to be consistently profitable. Okay, consistently profitable. And if you were to quit trading when you get your goal for the day and add 1 contract a month, that means you quit trading, you stop trading as soon as you get your goal. You just stop trading. You work your way up slowly, but when you get up to the end, like right now, you'd be earning $4,800. Well, you would have averaged $4,820 a contract on the year. But right now, for this month so far, if you had 12 contracts on, you quit trading when you finished your goal for the day. So far this month, it looks like you'd have worked almost 3.5 hours, and you would have earned $19,500 for 3.5 hours of work. Not too bad. Not too bad. That's with 12 contracts on, quitting trading when you get your goal. And a couple of those, out of the 3.5 hours, like a couple of those, more than half of that was just 3 days. 1, 2, 3, right there. So whatever, it's all relative. Anyway, we'll go over the trades that we did here. We didn't have that many trades today. In gold, we started out right here. Our first trade in gold was a break even right there. Then we had a +5, it looks like. Then a +4 to get us to 9. We had it looks like I had a little profit on that one, but I didn't write it down. No, I did. We had 2 ticks to get us to 11. And then I stopped out and put us back down to 1. And that is where we ended it with gold. It was really quiet trading here today in gold. We had we had a nice move up here, and we had a couple of spots we could have entered really well on. This trade right here went about 20 ticks into profit. I mean, my entry was down here at like 29.9 or 30, and it ran all the way up here to 32.4. So it went 24 ticks in profit. And I only got 4 ticks out of it because it happened really fast. That would have doubled what we ended up with for the day if I'd have gotten all of that, or just 20 of that, which is double what we had for the day. But anyway, it is what it is. During the break, there were no additional trades. Okay. On the crude oil now, let's see, we'll go back here. On the crude. Come on, crude. All right, well, I'm trying to go back to the beginning of the day. Here we go. All right, so on the crude, we started off with our first trade on crude. Looks like we had 1 tick, then a break even, then 2 ticks to get us to +3. And we missed a couple of trades. We missed one there, would have been a break even. We missed one here that would have given us profit. We missed one here. I'm sorry, we didn't miss one there. We stopped out on that one. That put us at -7. And then we had some more trades in through here, but I think I was talking all through here. There was a beautiful trade right here that we missed. That would have doubled what we had again, just like that one in gold. But we missed them all. And then we get to the end of the room right in here. And there were some trend line trades all through here, and this moved down. But now we're in the break, and in the break it got really sideways. I wouldn't want to do any of these. There's a red off, I mean, a blue off a blue there, and a red off a red here, but I wouldn't want to do either one of those. Even the blue off a blue right here that worked out really well, I wouldn't want to do it. First trade that I would have wanted to do would be this short right here, and then followed up by this short right here. And even this one right here. I would have done all three of those, but nothing through there. Okay. Me open up the question box. I don't think there's anything in there. No, there's not. Okay, so the ES now. On the ES, all right, we started out here. Our first trade on the ES, we picked up 2 ticks. Then the next trade, I wasn't sure exactly what I got. It was between 8 and 12, so I just took 10. I wasn't exactly sure what it came out to, but that put us. Oh, wait, I am sure about this one. That put us at 10 ticks. Then we had a break even there, and a break even there, and a break even there, and then we went from. Oh, there was one move that we had somewhere in here. We ended up, I think it was this one here. We ended up getting out and going positive by accident. So I lost 1 tick and ended up at 9. And then we had a plus 10 right here. This is the plus 10. I wasn't sure if we had 8 or 12. And I think we actually got 10. So I took 10 on that. And that put us at 19. Then we had a couple of break evens in there and a stop out here, pretty much to the ticket, stopped us out, and then it moved up and did what it should have done. So that put us back down to 9. They went from 9 to 15 right there. We got 6 ticks and a break even, and a break even there. And then we got 5 ticks here to get us to 21. No, we had, I'm sorry, 6 ticks here to get us to 21. Yeah, we had 6 ticks from 9 to get us to 25, and then another 6 ticks to get us to 21. And that is where we ended it with the ES this morning. Did I call crude oil the ES earlier? Yeah, all through here, crude oil was really flat. The ES was kind of like that too, all through here. Yeah, there was a blue off a blue right here. Would have been a break even if you took it. And since then, there's really been nothing that you would want to trade, nothing in context. There was a long trade right here, a trend line long trade, would have been a break even, and nothing much. So it was kind of a quiet day. Quiet day overall. There's a short trade going on right here on crude right now, and if it's going to go down, it should go through the low of the day down to 74.40 right now. This is what crude should do. 74.40 is the number. Let me bump it up a little bit for you. Right there. That's where crude should go down to. All right. That is going to be it for my recap. So let me go in through here. Now, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you have to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 20th day of December, 2022. We lost 7 ticks in crude, made 1 tick in gold, and 21 ticks on the ES. That put us at 202.50 on the morning session. And today, took 16 minutes and 7 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $112.50, which is a total of 19 trades this morning. So on the month now, that puts us at $10,355 a contract over 14 days, averaging $739 per contract per 2-hour trading day in the morning session. Okay, we've gone 240 out of 240 days getting our goal, and we've gone, that's on the year, we've now gone 301 consecutive business days getting our goal. Since our last negative day in the room. Okay, and that puts us at $235,701 per contract on the year, averaging $982 per contract per 2-hour trading day on the year. So on the month, we're a bit lower than that so far, but the month of December has been kind of slow. Anyway, where you want to be is right here. If you are consistently profitable and you get your goal every day, and you quit trading when you get your goal, and you add 1 contract per month, so far this year, you would have only had to work 42 hours. Think about that. The whole year, 42 hours. You would have averaged $4,820 for those hours that you did work. You gotta be really disciplined to do that. Really, really disciplined to do that, right? I know guys that are doing way better than that, but they have a hard time stopping when they get their goal for the day. They keep going. To do it just like this, you got to stop when you get your goal. I mean, you can do better than this, and you should do better than that, but that's if you stop when you get your goal. Now, if you've not taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingiq.com, and right here it says sign up for your free 5-day training, 9:30 to 11:30 Eastern time. Click on that, okay? And it's going to bring you to a sign-up page. I believe it's going to be this one. It's be a sign-up page. Fill out this form, and you'll be sent everything you need to get into the room in the morning. All right. You should also download the trading platform. Follow the instructions. Download the platform. You're going to have to send us information. Either get information from us, or send us information, so we'll know when you do it or don't do it. If you're serious about taking the trial, then download the platform. Look at the trade rules. Get ready for the trades in the morning. Watch the videos so you'll be ready for what the morning is going to be like when I get in there. Okay? That is all that you need to do. All right? And with that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
Yes, I am ready, but
Okay.
I need you to say something clever for about 2 minutes.
Clever.
While I get the recap Valerie just sent me a little bit earlier, formatted for viewing on this screen. So,
all right, clever. Well, let's talk about clever stuff then. Yesterday we were talking about it coming down here and actually breaking down below. I think Dwayne was talking about it going all the way down to 87, right? 37.87. If we broke down below that number, or if we broke down below Friday's low, look for it to break down, like really break down. It tried to do that yesterday right here. All right. This was last night. The 10 o'clock candle was right here. Made that huge move down from one zone to the next zone. From up here. This was Friday's close, or up here, pretty close to Friday's close, right up in here. And there was an area of support here that we dropped through yesterday. Bounced all the way back up to off of this weekly trading zone. We bounced back up to that area of support on Friday. And we got rejected, soundly rejected by it. All the way through that zone to this zone in that half-hour candle. And we bounced right back off of this candle through the zone back up to that support level from Friday. So this is becoming a very important area, this area right here on Friday. I'd say for the Santa Claus rally.
And I was just going to say, and when Santa caught wind of what happened in the markets yesterday, overnight, he said, on Dancer, on Prancer, we got to get this. We got to get this Santa rally in gear. So this may be the beginning of it, guys. I'm not going to go out on a limb yet. Yeah.
If we close up above this level right here, I would think we're going to make it up to the zone above. Okay, but it is Tuesday, and I know the low zone was way down here, but it is Tuesday, and we're at the next to lowest zone. So we just need something. We need some reason for it to go.
Do we have any important economic reports coming out tomorrow
I think
Thursday?
Let me check and see. I think they're all out. Hang on. Let me go in here and hit this. And today we had building permits come out and housing starts come out tomorrow.
And those numbers, I think, were less than expected, right?
One of them was the housing starts was better than expected. Building permits was less than expected.
Okay.
Canadian retail sales came in less than expected. Tomorrow we have a whole bunch of Canadian stuff that's high impact in the pre-market. I don't think that'll affect us too much. But then we do have consumer confidence coming out at 10 o'clock. That's high impact.
That is.
We have existing home sales coming out at 10 o'clock. That's low impact. And we have crude inventories coming out at 10:30. Now, last week, the markets kind of waited until the crude inventories came out to do anything. So we might have something happen at 10 o'clock on the consumer confidence, and then it just kind of, we'll have to play it how it is. I don't know how it's going to be coming into the holiday.
What you got for Thursday and Friday? Can you see that on your calendar?
Thursday, yep. Thursday we have pre-market. We have final GDP, unemployment claims, and final GDP price index, all low impact. And then at 10 o'clock we have CB leading index, low impact. And at 10:30 we have natural gas, low impact. And on Friday we actually have a high impact Friday morning at 8:30, core PCE price index. Core durable goods, personal income, personal spending. Those are all coming out in the pre-market. And at 10 o'clock, we have new home sales and consumer sentiment and expectations at 10 o'clock. But the only high impact is the core PCE price index. Canadian GDP is coming out at the same time. Those are both high impact news events on Friday. So there could be some action on Friday morning.
When we have high impact news, and many of the institutional type traders have already headed out on their holiday, it doesn't take as much volume to move price a great distance because there's not as much resistance overhead or support below. So Friday's kind of a wild card, but I will be putting out alerts Thursday night, and because of the news Friday morning, I will probably go ahead and put some alerts out Friday morning because I'm going to be here. So although we're not actually doing the live training room or officially doing the afternoon broadcast, there may still be alerts coming out Friday morning. There'll definitely be some out Thursday night.
Okay.
So I'm ready to take those screens.
All right, you go right ahead then.
Right. And there it is. Okie doke. Recap of the recap.
Today it took 16 minutes and 7 trades to get to $112.50.
Great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, guys, we'll go next to where we always do, the Logic 247 recap. Now, if you're new to CFRN, Logic 247 is our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service, which also includes crude, gold, silver, the euro, and bonds. Why is it called Logic 247? Well, I just explained the 24/7 part. The logic part is because as you learn our methodology and strategy, which doesn't include any crystal balls that tell you what's going to happen next in the market, but you learn to see the chart in such a way that you always know with a high degree of probability what the next high probability move will be. And that logic over time just becomes common sense because price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. We are in week 229 and we've issued over 12,900 individual handcrafted alerts since the first day we rolled out Logic 247. And that doesn't include the beta test before the official rollout. 12,900 plus individual alerts. Now the market's open Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern for futures traders. As we know, crypto trades around the clock, Forex pretty much the same. The stock market is kind of locked into that 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time frame. But we go to work Sunday night, 6 p.m. Eastern. And the Logic Alert channel remains open around the clock till Friday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern, which means an alert could come out at 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. And you might say, well, what good does an alert do me at 2 a.m. when I'm in bed, snuggled in my bed with visions of sugar canes dancing in my head? I think it's how that goes. Well, here's the deal. We have traders around the globe, so our day session is their night session and vice versa. So we take care of everybody around the clock. Now, since the market opened Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we've issued a total of 48 alerts this week. 2 of them never triggered. We're still waiting on the outcome of 7. So we've had 39 actionable alerts so far this week. In other words, you get delivered to you in Telegram the entry price. Oh, it was sugar plums? That's right, sugar plums dancing in your head. Thanks, Gary. You get, as we're training you to learn our methodology and strategy and how to read the indicators, at the same time, We're giving you trades to help you learn. It's not designed so that you can just trade the alerts and make money and not have to, really worry about learning how to trade. I mean, I know some people will do that, but don't sell yourself short, okay? You have an opportunity now to learn a life skill that will see you through the rest of your life and allow you to trade any market, any individual stock, any crypto, any forex pair, because as a lifetime member you have access to all the tools. The strategy never changes from market to market. The indicators, from as you go from the S&P Emini futures to Amazon or Walmart or Bitcoin or the British pound, you don't have to tweak the indicators, you don't have to alter the settings, okay? Because price flow is the same across all markets and all time frames. Out of the 39 actionable alerts we've had this week so far, today's only Tuesday, 5 or 13% would have been stopped out based on not risking more than $300 per contract, per trade, less when possible, using market structure and a very simple 3-step process that we teach all of our passport holders in their unlimited one-on-one private mentoring sessions. Over the last 229 weeks, we've averaged 20% or less of the actionable alerts being stopped out. I think we finished the week last week at 11%, and so we're sitting right now at 13%. There's 7 in the hopper, and of course there'll be more alerts this afternoon if opportunity presents, and tonight, and tomorrow, Thursday, and even maybe Friday morning. Okay? So the hallmark of a great week is when this number here is at 20% or below, and this number is 1/3 or less than this number. So 1 times 3 is 3, so we're well under that. So this is an example of a fantastic week for all of our traders. And all of our traders receive these alerts live in real time with time built in. To receive the alert, study your chart, understand why I've selected that particular entry, etc. All the information is in the alert, and the idea is that you study the alert, study the chart, and then as price approaches the trigger of the alert, long or short, you whip out your 7-tick range chart that Michael trains you on, Michael and Valerie train you on every morning in the live training room to actually execute the trade. And you can either use the fixed stop, as Michael does in the live training room, or you can employ market structure, which again I will teach you in your unlimited one-on-one mentoring sessions. So that's the story on Logic 247. Our original alert service, which goes back way farther than 229 weeks, they're called our concierge trade alerts. Somebody asked the other day, why do you call them the concierge trade alerts? Well, if you've ever stayed in a highbrow hotel, there's always a guy at the desk who can get you anything you want. I mean like tickets to a show or reservations at a restaurant where there's normally a waiting list. I don't mean anything illegal. But he's called the concierge. And so that's where the name came from, because we're like hand delivering you opportunity before it happens. Okay? Once price trades above or below a CTA number, it will most likely trigger multiple times. If you can hold for me 1 second, I've got to take this one. Okay, my apology. It's rarely that I have to put you on hold, but it's just some calls I have to take. All right, once price trades above or below a CTA number, it will most likely trigger multiple times. It's far better to get your goal for the day on the way to the CTA number. Now, the CTAs don't come out around the clock like the logic alerts. The CTAs are posted as a static report shortly after the Globex open. Normally they're out by about 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Last night looks like I was running a little late. In fact, I notified everyone in the discussion group that the alerts would be a little late because I had to run an errand. So, what do you do once you get the alerts? Now, there is a CTA channel for members, and if you're on the trial, then you get the alerts, the CTAs, in the alert trial channel. So you get them live in real time, the same time members do. Now, we cover all the same markets on both alerts, but you probably only trade one or two markets. And if you're new, you would do well to focus on one market or maybe two. Till you really learn the strategy and methodology, and then you're prepared to trade anything. Again, from futures to stocks to crypto to Forex. So when this report comes out, what you want to do first, we'll use the ES as an example. At 7:35 p.m. Eastern, you want to look to see where price is at that point in time. And then going forward, if price gets above the BBC and starts trending up towards 38.67, that's bullish. So our strategy will look for opportunities to be long the market. On the other hand, if price gets below the BBC and starts trending down towards 38.25, that's bearish. So our strategy will look for opportunities to be short the market. In either case, that's where you'll use Logic 247 and everything you learn in the live training room every trading day to yourself find opportunities to be long or short the market. And there will be days when we have what's called two-sided action, which means price might trade above this number and it might even trade below this number. The best thing you can do is to get your goal for the day on the way to the CTA number. There's no reason that you should have to wait for price to get here before you take action, or here. On your 30-minute chart, make note of where price was at that point in time, 7:35 p.m. Eastern last night. And then draw a line in the sand at 38.67, draw a line in the sand at 38.25. When we go to my 30-minute charts here in a few minutes, you will get an opportunity to see what my lines in the sand look like so that you get the idea. And then, of course, you can make your lines look any way you want. So if you don't have access to the numbers because you're not a member or you're not on the trial yet, go ahead and grab a screenshot, because we're going to walk briskly through each one of these markets. Okay? However, before we actually go to the charts, I have 10 things you need to know today, December 20th, 2022. Number 1. The House Committee investigating the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack voted during its final hearing yesterday to recommend that the Justice Department prosecute former President Donald Trump for several crimes, including inciting insurrection, conspiracy to defraud the United States, and obstruction of Congress. It is the first time Congress has referred a former U.S. president for criminal prosecution. The panel also named 5 Trump allies, former Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and 4 of Trump's lawyers, including Rudy Giuliani, as potential co-conspirators, and referred House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, a Republican from California, and other Trump allies to the House Ethics Committee for refusing to cooperate with the investigation. Now that is courtesy of the New York Times and The Hill. What they don't mention in the article is that the panel, who has now burned up almost 2 years of taxpayer time and money on what I feel is a witch hunt, there's only 2 Republicans on the panel. Everyone else is a Democrat. So read into that whatever you want. Okay. Number 2 from the Associated Press. Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts on Monday temporarily blocked the Biden administration from lifting the pandemic-era Title 42 public health rule limiting the entry of asylum seekers due to the risk of spreading COVID-19. The restrictions at the U.S.-Mexico border had been set to end tomorrow. Roberts ordered them to remain in place while Republican officials, led by the Attorneys General of Arizona and Louisiana, fight to preserve the policy. I mean, do you think it's a good policy or not? I mean, if you come in from a foreign country legally, they're going to take your temperature or do whatever it is they do to make sure you're not bringing COVID into the country. For those who are coming into the country illegally, according to the current administration, they should not have to adhere to the same standard as those who are legally entering the country. What sort of a dystopian world are we living in? The Federal Appeals Court on Friday had upheld a lower court ruling that Title 42 must end Wednesday. The White House is seeking more than $3 billion from Congress to handle a possible wave of asylum seekers. Boy, I could talk about that for hours, but I won't. I'll save you the grief. Number 3, courtesy of NBC. President Biden on Monday denounced the rise in anti-Semitic attacks and rhetoric in the United States, saying he is committed to the safety of the Jewish people and the vibrancy of Jewish life. That conflicts a little bit with some of the videos of things that he said when he was a sitting member of Congress. The president made his remarks during a Hanukkah reception at the White House. There's no place in the U.S. for hate or violence, Biden said, adding that silence is complicity. As part of this year's Hanukkah celebration, Biden and First Lady Dr. Joe Biden, added the first menorah to the White House collection. The menorah was made by the White House Carpentry Shop. Just like at the North Pole. Santa got a carpentry shop, and now the White House has one. And it's the first Jewish artifact to enter the White House archives. NBC News reports that in previous years, the White House borrowed menorahs for special events. As a host and founder of CFRN, I personally denounce any type of anti-Semitism. But I'm not going to hide behind a whole lot of rhetoric, okay? Not going to say one thing today and something else tomorrow. Number 4, courtesy of CNN and Reuters. European Union energy ministers on Monday agreed on a cap on natural gas prices after weeks of negotiations. The 27-nation EU agreed to cap the price of month-ahead natural gas futures on the bloc's benchmark gas exchange. It's called the Dutch Tidal Transfer Facility. If the price exceeds $191 per megawatt hour for 3 straight working days, the cap, which also applies to 3-month and year-ahead gas futures, will stay in place at least 20 working days once imposed. The policy is scheduled to take effect February 15th. The cap is one of the steps the EU has taken this year to counter rising prices and squeezed energy supplies since Russia invaded Ukraine in February. Well, I guess that's a good thing. Better late than never. You should look at your utility bill and see how much you're paying per megawatt hour for your energy that you receive to heat and cool your home. We should all be praying for the European people because it's projected to be a very cold winter. I mean, this thing's going to go into effect in February. Spring's just around the corner at that point. But again, better late than never. Number 5 from the New York Times. Russian President Vladimir Putin and his Belarusian counterpart met in Belarus yesterday and vowed to strengthen their military ties despite Western economic pressure. Lukashenko, who depends on aid from Moscow to maintain his 28-year rule, said the West will not be able to rip apart our relations. The meeting fueled concerns among Ukrainian officials that Belarus could let Russia prepare to launch a new offensive from the country to attack the Ukrainian capital, Kiev, which is just 55 miles from the Belarusian border. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said reports of Belarusian involvement in a new invasion were totally stupid, groundless fabrications. Okay, sounds good. We'll see if that gets walked back in the coming weeks or months. Number 6, courtesy of the LA Times, a Los Angeles jury on Monday found disgraced movie producer Harvey Weinstein, 70 years old, guilty of raping a woman in a Beverly Hills hotel room in 2013. The woman said in a statement, "Harvey Weinstein forever destroyed a part of me that night. I will never get that back." Weinstein is scheduled to be sentenced for the 3 charges in early 2023. He's already serving a 23-year prison sentence in New York for other rape convictions. He is appealing those cases. The Los Angeles jury acquitted Weinstein or failed to reach a verdict in the alleged rapes or assaults of 3 other women between 2004 and 2013. So he's 70 and he's already serving a 23-year prison sentence. So chance of him ever seeing the outside world again, I guess is a good thing for women. Number 7, Reuters. Cities across China on Tuesday rushed to build fever screening clinics and add hospital beds to handle rising coronavirus infections following the government's relaxing of its strict zero COVID policy. Lockdowns and testing requirements under that program had dragged down the world's second largest economy and sparked rare anti-government protests. See, here in America, I mean, we can go out and we can protest. We saw some really ugly protests during the pandemic. But we have that freedom. Well, it depends upon your affiliation, whether you really have the freedom to protest or not. But we won't go into that. Beijing reported 5 more deaths as COVID spread rapidly, with the restrictions now eased. Public health experts said China's COVID wave could be big, as people who have resisted vaccines and lack natural immunity face a sudden risk of exposure. U.S. State Department spokesman Ned Price said potential mutations of the virus and a major outbreak in China could pose a threat for people everywhere. Now, this is all happening as our current administration is attempting to lift the restriction that requires those coming across our southern border to be screened for COVID. They just want that to go away. Number 8, the Washington Post. President Biden on Monday unveiled a plan to cut U.S. homelessness by 25% within 2 years. Homelessness has reached crisis levels in some areas. Los Angeles has declared a state of emergency, and New York City Mayor Eric Adams last week announced an effort to force treatment on unhoused mentally ill people. Now, the first time I went to London back in 2004, I noticed that there were no homeless, mentally ill people wandering the streets. In America, that's considered a right. So the question becomes, is it a violation of a person's rights and freedoms if they're mentally ill and homeless to force them into some kind of, program where they're safe and well fed and kept healthy and have someone with a medical degree help them overcome whatever mental illness they're suffering from? This is something that's very near and dear to my heart, because my wife and I spent 13 years in inner city ministry where we worked daily with the homeless population. Now, once upon a time, the homeless crisis, wasn't even called a crisis then, was deemed a lifestyle choice. But we all know, most of us, that it stems from alcohol or drug abuse and malnutrition, all of which eventually lead to mental illness. Biden's plan, released through the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness, says more than 1.2 million people experienced sheltered homelessness in 2020, as homelessness has increased following steady declines in the first half of last decade. More than 580,000 people were homeless in January of 2022. On the night the Department of Housing and Urban Development conducted its annual point-in-time count, which some advocates for the homeless says falls short of the true numbers. So if you live in a small town or a rural area in America, you might not really have firsthand experience with how serious this problem is. But if you go to any major city, be it Phoenix or LA or New York and Chicago, and everywhere in between, it is an unbelievable problem. But the second you lay eyes on a tent city, where many of the residents are American veterans, soldiers who willingly put their life, men and women, put their lives on the line to protect democracy and our freedoms. And that's just wrong. Number 9, from CNN. Much of the U.S. will get its coldest weather of the year this week as a blast of frigid air comes down from Canada, pushing temperatures below freezing as far south as Houston and Orlando. Most of the lower 48 states will get freezing temperatures, with parts of the Midwest bracing for the coldest Christmas in nearly 40 years. Cold air will set the stage for a major winter storm starting Tuesday. I guess they mean today. With heavy snow and strong winds, the snow will hit the Rockies first and head into the Midwest, which could face the heaviest snow from Thursday through much of the Christmas weekend. Parts of Montana and the Central High Plains will face high winds and sub-zero temperatures. Friends, if you have any elderly friends or relatives, I know you want to stay inside your home where it's nice and warm. You don't want to go out into blizzard-like conditions, but check in on your friends and family. Make sure they're okay. Sometimes you can do it with a phone call, but those phone calls will often lead you to wanting to go over and personally make sure that they are okay. And coming in at number 10 from CNN and the Associated Press, Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte apologized on Monday for his country's role in the transatlantic slave trade, making the Netherlands one of few European countries to formally acknowledge its slaveholding past. For centuries under Dutch state authority, human dignity was violated in the most horrific way possible, Rutte said during a speech in The Hague. He added that slavery is a crime against humanity. Some critics said the speech did not go far enough. Of course they did. Reparation was even mentioned, said Mitchell Visages, director of a Dutch organization called the Black Archives. So beautiful words, but it's not clear what the next concrete steps will be. I wonder how many of those slaves, now in the Bible, there's different types of slavery, some good, some bad. For some people, it was a step up in life in biblical times to be a slave of a good slave owner, because it meant you and your family had a warm place to sleep, you had access to clean drinking water, you had access to food, good food, and of course there were cruel taskmasters as well. And we here in the United States, we cannot hide from our past. We know that slavery was a part of American history. In fact, we fought a war over it, did we not? Until Abraham Lincoln emancipated those who were considered slaves. But then we went through what they call the Jim Crow period, where, okay, it's not cool to have slaves anymore, and it was never cool. Okay, let me clarify that. But there were separate drinking fountains and separate bathrooms, and you couldn't sit at the lunch counter at Woolworths if the color of your skin wasn't white. Okay? Now, I grew up in the deep South, Georgia, small town. My grandfather was the sheriff. I know a thing or two about racism, segregation, desegregation. In fact, in the 7th grade, me and 2 other white guys were shipped to an all-black junior high school. We got our butt kicked every single day At the time, the most popular show on TV was Kung Fu. You get kicked in the head enough times, you don't even know what grade you're in anymore. So, I guess you got to start somewhere. But we believe, I believe, and we as CFRN believe, that all people of all skin color should have equal access to education, to health care, to whatever they need. Okay? Just want to make sure everybody understands our position. Because remember, what did I read earlier? Silence means complicity, or whatever it was our leader said. Okay, now on to the charts. The part you've been waiting for. We've been in a downtrend since March 29th. That's the day the high was put in. And here's the day the low was put in, October 13th. Between March 29th and October 13th, and even since, we've had some significant attempts to break out of the downtrend, and all have spectacularly failed. The most recent failure came on this day, December 13th, where we ran up to a high of 41.80, but then closed the session back below the 50% reverse fib. The following day we printed a red candle, and the following day another red candle, and then another red candle, and another red candle. That's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row. It was 5 in a row earlier in the session, because on today's daily candle, you see this long wick? That was a red candle until price got so low that the institutions couldn't resist and the buying began. And so, is this in fact the beginning of the historical Santa Claus rally? Historically, the markets have rallied into Christmas, as they do most U.S. holidays. Has it happened every year? No. But it happens more often than not. A lot more. And so what we could be seeing right here, right now, is the turning point. And we had already said that the next support level, once we broke Friday's low, the next potential level for support was the 38% fib extension, okay, which was support and gave us a mighty bounce that failed, okay, and brings us to today, Tuesday, where we approached our next support level, which is the 24% reverse fib at 37.85. We didn't quite get there. We managed to drop to 38.03 and a half. Buyers have come in strong, but they got a lot of work cut out for them. Overhead is the 38% fib extension, which coming down is support, but coming up becomes resistance. And we have the daily step line, daily red and falling, the 38% reverse fib, the daily BBC, and the 24% fib extension. Those are all obstacles that the market must overcome to truly produce the Santa rally. And the question becomes, are the institutions willing to risk that money to pull it off? You have to understand, it's the institutional traders that actually move price. As retail traders, we're like flies on a horse's rump. He flicks his tail and off we go. The institutions, the hedge funds, the Goldman Sachs of the world, okay, it's their trading that moves price. They look at daily, weekly, and monthly charts the way you and I look at 30-minute charts, 5-minute charts, tick charts, and range charts. Why? Because size matters, I guess. Their accounts are denominated in hundreds of millions and billions of dollars, whereas we retail traders, our accounts tend to be denominated in thousands and tens of thousands of dollars. This means that they can stand a much deeper drawdown than you or I. They can also have the confidence to stay with a profitable position far longer than our margin requirements might allow us to do. So, this is why we start out each day looking at the S&P 500 daily chart. Because we want to know which way the institutional wind is blowing. And since the session opened last night at 6 p.m. Eastern and headed lower, sellers were in control. But the institutional buyers got the memo at 3803.5, and they've come in and they've done a pretty good job of driving this thing up to an area that we know has the potential to be good resistance. Now, whether you trade futures, now the S&P Emini, the S&P 500, which is 500 large cap companies, it's called the bellwether. In other words, whatever the S&P 500 does, the other indices will eventually follow suit. The other indices being the Dow, that's only 30 stocks. The Russell, that's 2,000 small cap companies. That's why I call it our man in the street. And then, of course, the NQ, the NASDAQ, which is 100 tech-related stocks. So, what the big boy does with the 500 large cap companies, and remember, the index futures, S&P, Dow, Russell, NQ, are always going to go higher over time. In recent broadcasts, I explained about index funds, and if you've got, someone in your life that's young, 20 to 25, the best thing you could do for them is to purchase them some shares in an index fund and make them promise, based upon whether they have a job or don't, whatever, that they're going to put $50 a week, no matter what the market's doing, no matter if it's in a downtrend, like it's been since March 29. That's called dollar cost averaging. The lower the price goes, the more shares you can buy. Because over time, the indices are always going to go higher. That's how they were built. That's how they were constructed. The S&P, for example, 500 large cap companies. If one of those companies gets sick, starts missing their numbers, they're going to be escorted out of the building. And a fresh, strong, bullish company that has been exceeding their numbers is going to be ushered in to replace the one that got sick. So you have to instinctively go, well, gee, that sounds kind of like a rigged game. It is. And the good news is you get to participate in that. Now, if you're approaching retirement age, or you're already retired, an index fund may not save your bacon if you haven't put something else away for your retirement. Many approaching retirement, and those already retired, have found that they have to learn to actively manage their money. Yes, that means that four-letter word, day trading. Okay? It has negative connotations because of what happened to so many people during the dot-com days. Those days are past. And where was the S&P in the dot-com days? I'll show you on a chart later in the show if we have time. Okay? You'll find it humorous. Okay? And then the market ran back up to that 2000 dot-com crash and crashed again based on the mortgage-backed securities, which sent the market even lower than the dot-com crash. And now we're light years above where we were back then, which simply proves my point that over time the indices are always going to go higher. So safest bet in the markets, okay? And I don't say bet in a gambling type way, but when you understand the rules of the game and the probabilities are in your favor because you're only 20 to 25 and you've got a long time horizon to retirement, there's no safer place to put your money, in my opinion. I'm not a licensed financial advisor. I don't have any of those little letters after my name. I'm just some guy on the internet, okay? Never make any investment decision without first consulting with a licensed investment professional. And in this case, they're going to tell you exactly what I just told you, okay? Because it's the truth. It is a market truth that you can hang your hat on. There'll be good years, there'll be bad years. In the good years, that $50 a week or $50 a month will buy fewer shares. But in the down years, like we've had this year, that $50 a week or $50 a month can buy more shares in that index fund. It's called dollar cost averaging. You don't care where the market is from the time you're 25 to 50. But if you start at 25, by the time you reach 50, you can probably retire, okay? Even though you're not yet qualified for Social Security if it's still around at that point in time. But you'll be okay. Or your grandson will be okay, or your granddaughter, or your child, whatever. Okay? The sooner they get started, the longer their time horizon, and the better chance they won't have to eat cat food during their retirement. Okay, so we know where resistance is, where's support? Low of the day. After that, same as yesterday, 24% reverse fib, 50% fib extension, and then the low of November 3rd, followed by the low of October 21st, followed by the low of October 13th. So that's it. Whatever market you trade, whatever stock you trade, spend 2 minutes a day dissecting the daily chart like I just did. Obviously, I took more than 2 minutes because I'm explaining things as I go, but you're just looking to see which way the wind's blowing, and when the wind shifts, you want to go where their money's going, because our strategy and our indicators are not designed to outsmart the market or beat the market. Our strategy and our indicators are designed to help you clearly see what the market is doing at any given moment in time. Okay? And all you have to do then is simply do what the market's doing long enough to get your goal for the day. And 2 points in the S&P 500, as an example, is not only an achievable goal, but it is a goal that can make you as much money as you want to make over time, because you'll reinvest your profits into your trading business so that you can go from 1 contract to 2 contracts to 3 contracts. All of our new members get a 24/20 blueprint that walks them through the process. The blueprint will let you know when it's time to go live, but you only go live with 1 contract. Now that you're trading live, you don't want to start trading real money as soon as you sign up, because you haven't learned the strategy yet. You haven't learned how to read the indicators yet. So the blueprint's going to tell you to put together 10 consecutive days in a row in Sim. And then once you do that, 10 days where you reach your goal in 10 trades or less, you'll get the green light to go live with one contract. Then your goal is to increase your account balance by $2,000. At that point, the blueprint will tell you it's time to add contract number 2. The big difference between number 1 and number 2 is number 1 is funded with your startup capital, but number 2 is funded with profit you earned in the market. The blueprint will notify you when it's time to add number 3, number 4, number 5, number 10, all the way up to number 20. By then you've got the hang of it. Okay, that's why it's called the 2420 blueprint. It's designed to help you go from 1 to 20 contracts over a period of 24 months. So there's no get rich quick, okay? You're learning a life skill and you're building a business, okay? There's no overnight success stories. There's flashes in the pan, but no overnight success stories. So, everything I've said about this daily chart of the S&P, in regard to the indicators, the BBC stands for bull bear cross. When price crosses above it, we're bullish, anticipating higher prices. When price crosses below it, we're bearish, anticipating lower prices. Above it, higher prices. Below it, lower prices. Okay. The pullback to the BBC holds more often than it doesn't. Every market, every time frame. The other indicator, the red and blue indicator, okay, the official name is CFMA1, but I call it blue and climbing and red and falling for what I hope are obvious reasons. When you've got price above the BBC and blue and climbing, there's no question that you should be buying the market. When price is below the BBC and you have red and falling, there's no question that you should be selling the market. Until price finds support, like it did here at the 38% reverse fib, and now we're in pullback mode, and so you're not selling and you're not buying, okay, on your 30-minute time frame. But you're always monitoring this, okay, because that's what the big boys, the deep pockets, it shows you what they're doing. And because the market's always right, you want to do what the market does long enough to get your little goal for the day, and then go do life. Go do the thing that God created you for. Learning to trade isn't just about the money, it's about the freedom it gives you. You can work anywhere on planet Earth that has a fast, reliable internet connection. You're not chained to a desk somewhere. Time and freedom. Beautiful combination. Now, money is a renewable resource. Time is not. So that might be the more important part of that equation. Your time is more valuable than your money because you have a finite amount of time. All right, let's go to the 30-minute charts. Now, as I said earlier, when I showed you the CTA numbers and encouraged you to take a screenshot, if you don't already have access to the numbers, it's best to get your goal for the day on the way to the CTA. Here's where the market opened last night. We rallied up to the BBC. Remember, I just said the pullback holds more often than it doesn't. And I also said in the discussion group last night, the longer we consolidate at the BBC, the better, because blue and climbing will continue to rise, and that'll give you an awesome opportunity to trade down to the weekly trading zone. and it unfolded beautifully. There was even a Logic 247 alert. As price was still climbing over here, and blue and climbing had not yet reached this point, it was like around here, I put out a Logic 247 alert somewhere in here, taking you down to the zone. I think it was around 38.55. You can correct me if I'm off. But price dropped from 56 to 36. That's 20 points. At $50 a point. That's $1,000 per contract traded. The S&P and the Russell pay $50 a point. The Dow pays $5 a point. Crude and gold pay $10 a tick. So 10 ticks is $100. And that's what we're going to train you to have a $100 per contract goal. And you say, but I can't live off $100 a day. No, you can't probably in this day and time. But by the time you follow that blueprint and you get up to 5 contracts, you earn the right to trade 5 contracts. Those same 2 points out of the S&P that made you that lowly $100 now makes you $500. If you continue adding per the blueprint, once you hit 10 contracts, the same 2 points now pays you $1,000 a day, which by the way puts you in the top 3% of wage earners worldwide. Now if it were easy, everybody would do it. Trading's not easy, but it can be simple. We have spent many years, many man hours making it simple for you, okay? All that other clutter and nonsense that you hear about, you know, all the different indicators and oscillators and algorithms, those are designed. I don't want to indicator shame anybody, okay? I'm sure all those things that are out there do exactly what they were designed to do. But when you toss them all together on a chart, all they do is confuse you. You got 5 indicators scream and go long, and you got 5 indicators scream and go short. I already got enough voices in my head screaming at each other. I don't need more voices on my chart screaming at me. So that's why you don't see on our charts a lot of the traditional things that you see on people's charts. When you take the trial, you're going to have a chart just like this, an indicator set just like this. And you'll be able to trade just like this because you'll get the alerts just like this. Once price got below the weekly trading zone, okay, and even took out these prior lows, that put price at about 38.27. There's your 2 points for the day again before you get to the CTA. I mean, this candle ran from a high of 38.53 to a low of 38.15. That's about $2,000 per contract traded. Once price crosses a CTA number, whether it's on the long side or the short side, then there's a higher probability of it triggering again than not triggering again. So price, if you waited against my advice for price to get to 38.25 to enter the market, well, you still did fine. Price dropped to 38.16. 9 points, $50 a point, $450 per contract traded. But remember, your goal is only $100 a day per contract. So that right there is 4.5 times your daily goal. Then what did price do? It got back above the important price, important area, and it did it again. And this time it ran all the way down to the zone where we expect support. When price drops to a zone, we expect support. When price rallies up to a zone, we expect resistance. It's pretty simple. The zones are delivered to our members every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. We've published the zones since December 14th of 2009. We have 13 years of data on how price behaves around weekly trading zones. Only 3 things happen at a weekly zone. The most common is what you see here, consolidation. That's about 70% of the time. Consolidation. The second most likely, about 70% of the time, is what we call rejection. See, this was a red candle that came all the way down to this zone. But by the time the 30-minute candle closed, the only thing left touching the zone was the wick. Price got rejected and went higher. The third and least likely thing that can happen in a zone is called a slice. About 10% of the time. See how this candle, this 30-minute candle, sliced through the zone like it's not even there? When that happens, when the slice runs out of steam, it will typically retrace to the zone it sliced through and then continue in the direction of the slice. Textbook example. In fact, as this was happening last night, I kept posting charts in the discussion group in Telegram so that everyone would clearly understand what I'm talking about when I talk about a slice. Okay? Does it happen every time? No. Very few things happen every time in the world of trading. You want to build your business on those things that happen more often than they don't, and you want to leave the rest of the stuff alone because it's not going to help you. Now this morning, one of our members messaged me and said, hey, is this area here a good window of opportunity? And I said, yes it is. I said, however, price has found support right here. So let me show you the exchange between myself and our member, because when you become a member, you too will have this same type of information. The question came in, was this a valid window of opportunity? Yes. ES just found support at the weekly trading zone, right there. We need to get above the step line and blue and climbing on the 30-minute chart. And so I drew in this window of opportunity for our member. Now, because I'm on Mountain Standard Time, that's what you see on my chart in Telegram. If you're on the East Coast, you're going to see East Coast time. If you're on the West Coast, you're going to see West Coast time. Okay? That's how Telegram works. It reads the clock on your computer. So whatever time zone you're in, that's what's going to reflect here. And so, from here, here's what happened. Price ran up and filled the window of opportunity. And then it pulled back to the BBC, and the pullback held. And then it filled the window again. And then it pulled back and filled the window again. And now it's just on the verge of potentially trading through the CTA number. But why not get your goal on the way there? I mean, these numbers came out last night at 7:30, okay? That one I don't have to answer. It's a telemarketing. Why not get your goal here, or here, or here, or here, or here, or here? Because as price hit the target, what happened? It's getting rejected. Okay. So now, whichever way the market goes, you have a window of opportunity. Remember, our member had already seen this window of opportunity, which is right here. And then I gave him this window of opportunity. I said, so no matter which way the market goes, you have a window of opportunity. Ho, ho, ho. Now, all of our members have the ability to communicate with me, with Michael, with Valerie, with Bert, through Telegram. You can communicate with me and other members around the clock. Valerie and Bert and Michael, to a degree, keep sort of normal business hours because they're normal people. Some of us are market freaks and don't actually keep normal hours. So, see what happened when price hit the target? That's why it's called a target. Okay. Now, if price trades through it, now over here, we traded through it once, and then we got above it and did it again. From 38.25 down to the zone. The zone is 38.12/13. That's 12 points at $50 a point. That's another $600 per contract traded. And then price got above the BBC. Red and falling, turned to blue and climbing. So now our mind has to change to looking for long opportunities. Okay? Which we had, and we had, and we had. This one here, you got red and falling overhead. Got to keep that on a short leash till price overcomes the obstacle. And I identified the obstacle in the live training room and in the discussion group. And as price traded through that obstacle, then you had a chance to get long at about 38.56 to 38.66. 10 points, $500 per contract traded. At 5 contracts, that's a $2,500 move. At 10 contracts, it's a $5,000 move. And then it comes back and does it again. It's a beautiful thing. Now, as I switch to the Dow, I'm not going to change my indicators. I'm not going to change my strategy. The underlying principles are going to remain the same, because price flows the same across all markets, all stocks, all crypto, all forex, and all time frames, from 1 minute to monthly. Market opened, pulled up. I had a logic alert before. The guys, go back and read in the discussion group. I said the longer it consolidates, the better. Because we want blue and climbing to pull all the way up here. So that when price starts dropping, we've got more room to get to the zone where we anticipate support. And the market found support. And it popped back up. And then it continued down to the CTA target. So based upon the alert I put out last night, you could have got short. Oh, I think that alert, I'll just be conservative. I'll call it 32,920. Well, to 32,830, that's 90 points. And then to 32,705, that's another 100 points. It's $1,000 per contract move. Then price gets above the BBC. The pullback holds. It holds more often than not. Runs up to the target. And then moves through the target to the zone where it found resistance. Just like we expect. And then came the pullback. That's how the market moves. Leg, retrace. Leg, retrace. Leg, retrace. The pullback holds. Got a nice opportunity to get your goal for the day. And then again, remember, once an alert triggers or trades through the CTA number, that's the proper way of saying it, there's a greater probability of it doing it again. And it did. From 33,065 to 145, I don't know, that's about $400 per contract traded each time. Okay. All right, the Russell. Russell open. The indices, remember, what the S&P does, the other indices will typically do as well. Okay, it's not always in lockstep, tick for tick, but I mean, the live charts I'm showing you, they say a picture paints 1,000 words. A live chart paints 100,000 words. Price pulls up, consolidates at the BBC and the weekly zone, which we expect to be resistance, both of them. That's resistance times 2. Blue and climbing turns to red and falling, and what a drop. From 1749, we'll make the math simple, 1750 down to 1741. 9 points, $50 a point, $450 per contract traded. We sliced through, okay? This was a red candle all the way down until it ran out of steam. And then it retraced to the zone it sliced through and continued in the direction of the slice. Over and over, again and again. We trade the same way every day and have for years. If it's not broke, better leave it alone. Price gets above the BBC, make a run up towards the zone. That resistance right there is a direct result of that high right there. Pull back, up we go, we get above the zone, and we make a run at the target from 57 to 65. 8 points, $50 a point. Then we pull back to the zone, do it again. Then we pull back to the BBC, do it again. And where we trade above the CTA, that's just gravy on top of your ability to get your goal on the way to the CTA number. Okay, the last of the indices, NQ. What price do at the open? Pulled up to the BBC, consolidated, blue and climbing rose, rolled over, turned to red and falling. Now the NQ pays $20 a point. So let's say your entry was 195. 11,195 down to 11,166. It's about $600 per contract traded. Right there. That's per contract. But it kept going, did it not? All the way down to 11,125. So, you know, from whatever number we were using here, I don't know, 11, call it 1190 to 11,125. About 70 points, $20 a point, $1,400 per contract traded on the way to the target. Then once we hit the target and traded through it, from 125, we dropped to 043. 80 points from 125 to 043, yeah. 80 points, $20 a point. The second move, $1,600 per contract traded. Then we get back above the BBC, then we pull back, okay? But these triggers here are not valid. Why? Because price is below the BBC. Well, price is below the BBC, so yeah, you could have traded these. Yeah, you actually could. So we only go, price has to be below the BBC for me to consider going short, and has to be above the BBC for me to consider going long. So we triggered, and we triggered, and we triggered. This time we dropped to 66, so that's about $1,200 per contract traded. And even this wee one here, 125, so we'll call it 24 points at $20 a point. You can do the math. Then we get above the BBC, made a run to the zone. When price moves up to a zone, we expect resistance. Resistance. Price drops to a zone, we expect support. Most likely thing to happen, consolidation. It's the same thing over and over, again and again, day after day. All right, crude oil, we're done with the indices. Price opened above the BBC on crude and ran up to the zone, through the zone. So in this one candle here, opened at 75.90, ran up to 76.09, $190 per contract traded. And we made it up to the CTA number, traded through it, 76.49, $140 per contract traded. Then we get below the BBC, triggered on the short side. This is that two-sided action I mentioned. Okay? So you got all this room to get your goal for the day on the way down to the CTA number. And once you hit the CTA number, the zone is 74.90/95. So that would be $300 per contract traded. And then it does it again. And then it does it again. Then we get above the BBC. Now this time from 76.35, we've traded up to 76.95. So that's $600 per contract traded. When crude oil moves $1 in price from $75 to $76, that's worth $1,000 per contract traded. When crude moves $1, it's worth $1,000 per contract traded. Gold moves $1, it's worth $100 per contract traded. Market opened here, consolidated below the weekly trading zone, got above, and made a spectacular run right to the weekly trading zone. Now these zones were published yesterday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Once the zones are published for the week, they're carved in stone. They don't change in any way whatsoever. And what do we expect when price moves up to a zone? Resistance. When it drops to a zone, support. Over and over, again and again. We had a slice that retraced back to the zone and then continued in the direction of the slice. So from 1801 to 1806, that's $500 per contract traded. And then it gave you another $500 per contract traded. Then it kept going all the way to the next zone where it found resistance. So it pulled back to the BBC. The pullback holds more often than not. When you're pulling from below, it holds. When you're pulling from above, it holds more often than not. And now it's at this all the way up to 1832. From here to here, that's a $3,100 per contract move. But remember, you don't have to sit in front of your chart all these hours, okay? Learn to take 2 points a day out of the S&P, or 10 ticks out of crude, or 10 ticks out of gold, 5 points out of the NQ, whatever makes you $100 a day, okay, in whatever market you enjoy trading. And get real good at doing that every day. As your account size grows, the blueprint will tell you when it's time to add another contract, and you're adding with profit you earned in the market. If you have the self-discipline, the patience, the fortitude to follow the blueprint, okay, it makes blowing up another account kind of tough to do unless you start breaking rules. Nothing's impossible. But again, you'll have to break some rules. So let's get through the rest of these real quick. Silver. What a big day for silver. A $1 move in silver is worth $5 grand. In other words, when price goes from $23 to $24. That's $5 grand. Here's where the market opened last night. Found resistance at the zone. Pulled back to blue and climbing, which we expect to be support. Pushes us above the BBC. A 2-penny move is worth $100. This candle opened at 23.22 and ran up to 23.29. $350 per contract traded in that one candle. And it does it again. This time it trades through the CTA number up to 23.42. That's 10 pennies, $500 per contract traded. Then we get back below the CTA number and we trigger again and again. This one only ran up to 23.35. It's $150 per contract traded. And then we get back below the number. We trigger a third time. Okay. The third time took us to our trade 2 target, which is always the zone above. On a long, on a short, it's the zone below. Okay. And as you can see, this thing just raced right up to that zone. And then it had to do some consolidating. But buyers were committed. It takes financial commitment for price to rise. For price to fall, all that needs to happen is for institutional buyers to hit the pause button for a little bit. So from 23.32 to 59, it's about 27 pennies. 2 pennies is $100. But from 23.32, it continued on to 24.32. That's $5,000 per contract traded. On the euro, again, two-sided action. Here's the open, below the zone, below the BBC. So, goal for the day. Then you get above the BBC, and it runs all the way to the trade 2 target. Goal for the day times about 3 or 4. And then it gets below the BBC, so now we're rated as short. There's your goal for the day, and there's your goal for the day. And then we get back above the BBC, and we run all the way up to the trade 2 target. Goal for the day, 3-4 days worth. And again, 1, 2, 3 times. Now we're back below the BBC. And so where's the window of opportunity? You'll learn to spot these, okay? It's not going to happen overnight. Give it a few weeks, pay attention, do your homework. Okay? If price continues to drop, taking out the low of this candle and its own current low, then it becomes an extremely high probability that price is going to trade down to this low, where it will potentially find support. But goal for the day, and probably then some. Back to the daily chart. Still got a green candle, but we haven't yet overcome that resistance at the 38% fib extension. And we have all these other obstacles in our path to price moving higher. Doesn't mean price can't move through those. But the institutional buyers have to be committed. They have to be willing to put money to work for price to rise. If they hit the pause button, there will be no Santa Claus rally. All right, let's wrap this up with a good word for the day. You want to become a member, a lifetime member. Well, what does that mean? What does the fine print say? The fine print says once you become a CFRN passport holder, you're a member for life with no recurring fees, no upsells, no new shiny objects to buy, no nonsense. You have lifetime access to the live training room. 9 out of 10 new traders fail because they don't have a teacher. Well, I got books, I got YouTube videos. Yeah, well, that's no substitute for a living, breathing teacher who's trading in front of you while you trade along, answering every one of your questions as you ask it. That's how you learn, okay? Lifetime access to the room. The blueprint's also going to teach you how to write your business plan and your trading plan. 9 out of 10 new traders don't even know they need a business plan or a trading plan. Along with the room, you have unlimited access to one-on-one private mentoring. When you're new, if you need 2 sessions a week, that's fine. If you need 2 with me and 2 with Michael, that's fine too. You just have to book them because you have unlimited access for life. Okay? The methodology and strategy we teach is fluid across all markets, all time frames, including individual stocks, crypto, and forex. The indicators are fluid across all markets, all time frames, just like the strategy. As a passport holder, you will receive the Logic 247 alerts around the clock. You'll receive the concierge trade alerts every night when they're posted. And you'll, of course, be invited to the Thursday night members only workshop, which, as a reminder, we're not having this week. We're taking Thursday night off, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Now, I'll be working, I'll be putting out alerts, but there won't be an official workshop this Thursday night. Okay? There'll be alerts Thursday night, Friday morning. There'll be alerts Monday night. And then come next Tuesday, it'll be business as normal. And then we'll repeat the process. Probably New Year's Eve we'll work the half day, because I think the market is going to be open the day after New Year's Day. So, but we'll keep you apprised as next week progresses. To become a lifetime member, all you got to do is go here, eminifuturestrading.com. Couple mouse clicks, you're in like Flynn. Or you could call Valerie at 949-42-EMINI and ask her if Santa left anything in his stocking for you in the way of a promotional offer or discount. I don't get into the sales end part of the whole thing, so you really do have to call her. Okay? 949-42-EMINI, or send her an email, support@cfrn.net. She'll answer all your questions, and if you decide to become a passport holder, she'll help you get your charts set up, your indicators indicating. She'll get you all the links you need to access all the various Telegram channels that you'll have access to, the alert channel, the discussion group channel, the weekly zones, the CTAs, everything. Okay? All right. Good word for the day. Yesterday we talked about learning to unplug and unwind. I hope you gave that some thought. Today, here's a question. Do you love God's Word? They say the Bible is the most purchased, least read book in the world. I'm sure you have a Bible in your home. Is there dust on the cover? No, you can't say I live in the desert. That's why there's dust on the cover. That don't wash. My grandfather used to taunt my grandmother because she had this massive family Bible on the coffee table with everybody's birth dates and marriage dates and family history, and you know. And that's the only book I ever saw her read. She had a 2nd grade education. Smartest woman I ever knew. My wife's not listening. Then I'd have to say 2nd smartest one I ever knew. But 2nd grade education, and they pulled her out of school and she had to go pick cotton in the fields. Like the other slaves. Anyway. to taunt my grandmother. My grandfather would come home from work, take off his shoes, and prop his feet up on the Bible on the coffee table. And she was always so sweet. Honey, do you have to put your feet on the Bible? It's my house. I'll put my feet where I want. Well, honey, I could bring you something else, maybe a nice cushion. I said I'll put my feet. I heard that scene play out night after night, because I always spent the weekends over there. It's just where I wanted to be, because my grandmother had this incredible positive energy. Even when you were in trouble, you've done wrong, I mean, she would correct you. Trust me, she would correct you. But she did it in a way that not only corrected you, but encouraged you and built you up. And she really believed that you could become anything you wanted to be. Man, I miss her. Matthew 24:35, heaven and earth will pass away. It's old Granny Reeves. But my words will never pass away. Obviously, I edited that scripture a little bit. One of the first books to come off the printing press when it was invented was, you guessed it, the Bible. And it's still the world's best-selling book. An anonymous author has written, it contains the mind of God, the state of man, the way of salvation, the fate of sinners, and the happiness of believers. It is a light to direct you, food to nourish you, and comfort to cheer you. It is the traveler's roadmap, the pilot's compass, the soldier's weapon, and the player's game plan. It's a mine of incredible wealth and a river of genuine joy. Its doctrines are holy, its precepts are binding, its histories are true, and its decisions are immutable. Christ is its grand subject, and the glory of God is its end. Read it to be wise, believe it to be safe, and practice it to be spiritually healthy. Read it slowly, frequently, and prayerfully. Let it fill your memory, rule your heart, and guide your steps. It is given to you in life, will be opened at the judgment, and be remembered forever. It involves the highest responsibility, will reward the greatest labor, and judge those who trifle with its sacred contents. Technology today makes studying the Bible so simple. You used to have all these big books, the Strong's Concordance. I remember sitting on my bed with all these reference books as I was putting together a sermon of some kind. This just in from Hal. The ZB alert yesterday has moved to where it is now, around $2,400 per contract. If it gets to the weekly zone, that's $3,500 per contract. Thank you, Hal. Appreciate you sharing that with me. And sorry I don't have my bond chart to share with everybody. But thank you. Modern technology allows you to access all of these reference books with a few mouse clicks. And most of them are free. But you know what I'm going to say next? The Daily Audio Bible. Brian. What a great guy he is. And his ministry has been the Daily Audio Bible for many years. I know I've been listening for more than 10 years. I don't get to listen every day, but you can download the app on your iPhone or your Android phone, or you can just actually go to dailyaudiobible.com, and for free every day, Brian publishes a fresh recording. I mean, he's not playing last year's file. No, he's generating a new file every day for all the years he's done this. Today, today's reading was on the book of Haggai, which only has 2 chapters. But each day you get a little Old Testament, a little New Testament, some Proverbs and some Psalms. And in 1 year, if you put your earbuds in for 20 minutes every day, in the course of a year, you will have covered the entire Bible from cover to cover. I've read it cover to cover many times. I've studied parts of it deeply. And I've listened to it cover to cover. Probably a few times with Brian Harden. Great guy. Can't encourage you enough. Go to dailyaudiobible.com on your phone, or go to the App Store on your phone. Download the app. And when you wake up in the morning, that day's reading, it's already there, it's waiting for you. So before you watch the news or look at the market and get all bummed out about what's happening in the world, feed yourself something positive. Okay? Now, I know there's parts of the Old Testament that aren't real uplifting, you know, kill them all, kill the women, kill the children, kill the cattle. I mean, yeah, okay. He was a bit of an angry God in the Old Testament. Thank God for the New Testament. Thank you, God, for your Son Jesus, whose life wasn't taken. He willingly gave his life that you and I could be forgiven and spend eternity with our Creator. Most of us respect the Bible. The trouble is, we don't read it daily. And so, as a result, we don't put it into practice daily. After hearing what the anonymous author had to say about it, why would you not delve into it and discover it for yourself? 1 Peter 1:25, the word of the Lord endures forever. And that's our good word for the day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with his mercy and with his grace. And I'll see you at the bell. Yikes.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.